Hello, thank you for joining with me. We are in Ken Wapnick's Journey Through the Text of A Course in Miracles, Volume 1, and we are on Chapter 6, The Lessons of Love. All right, we are picking up in the ego's fear of the atonement. So in this next passage, Jesus explains why the world hated him, an expression of the ego's fear of the atonement principle. Such hatred reflects this pillar of the ego's defense system of fear and projection. 6.5b 1, 5 through 6. Many thought I was attacking them, even though it was apparent I was not. An insane learner learns strange lessons. This strange lesson is that love is dangerous and we are justified in fearing the atonement principle. The Holy Spirit and the person whose presence within the dream represents the message that the separation from God's love never occurred. The memory of this love has remained fully present in our sleeping mind. We therefore need to forget everything we learned from the Bible and think only of what Jesus says here. The world feared him because he expressed the atonement principle, and if it is true that the separation is an illusion, we do not exist. Hence our defensive reaction in retaliation for this affront to our individual and special self. Perception of attack always leads to justified counterattack. 6.5b 1, 7 through 9. What you must recognize is that when you do not share a thought system, you are weakening it. Those who believe in it, therefore, perceive this as an attack on them. This is because everyone identifies himself with his thought system, and every thought system centers on what you believe you are. The Holy Spirit represents a thought system that is totally antithetical to the ego. In our choosing the Holy Spirit, the ego disappears. In this world, the ego tells us that separation, sin, and the body are real, and God's atonement plan for us is that we suffer and sacrifice, earning His forgiveness as the means for His welcoming us back home. Our identity as a separated self is rooted in this insane thought system. Similarly, Jesus and A Course in Miracles represent a thought system that says we do not exist. Incidentally, we shall remain with these two symbols, although the number of symbols of the atonement principle throughout history is legion. Jesus' very presence in our dream world is a statement that it never occurred, because the dream is built on the premise that the separation from God's love actually happened. If this love is here, whether as a mind's atonement principle, as the mind's atonement principle, or as one who exemplifies it in the world, its presence represents a greater threat to the ego's thought system and the separated existence that is predicated on it. Identifying with this existence, we must believe we are being attacked by love and will attack in return. This then is what Jesus is addressing, expressing in form the ego's fearful content of our minds choosing the atonement. These next two paragraphs from the Lessons of the Holy Spirit highlight our capacity to choose. 5b 4, 1 through 2. Upside down as always, the ego perceives the first lesson as insane. In fact, this is its only alternative, since the other possibility, which would be much less acceptable to it, would obviously be that it is insane. Since the ego never wants us to recognize its own insanity, it tells us that the first lesson to have, give all to all, which undoes the ego's principle of one or the other, is insane. But the belief that we can be outside the mind of God is what is truly insane. The ego ensures are never seen. How an insane mind gave rise to an insane world by obliterating the mind from memory. This paves the way for the illusory ego to appear to be the voice of truth. 5b 4, 3 through 4. The ego's judgment, here as always, is predetermined by what it is. The fundamental change will still occur with the change of mind in the thinker. This, then, is the ego's fear. True change comes from only in the mind of the thinker. That is why this is not a course in changing the world, performing miracles, or having prayer circles. Indeed, it is not about doing anything at all here. Jesus is telling us that the fundamental change can come only in the mind. To protect itself, as we have seen and will see again presently, the ego makes us mindless. If we do not know we have a mind, how can we change it? Consequently, we become involved in changes that involve our bodies or those of others, or trying to teach truth on the dualistic level of the body, anything not to return to the mind. Thus did Christianity and other formal religions evolve as they did. Their focus on externals took the world's attention from the mind, where change is needed. The ego does not care how devoted and dedicated we are to the spiritual path, as long as we do not relate our spirituality to the mind. In fact, it blesses all behavioral, meaning mindless, expressions of our devotion. I'm messing that all up, I apologize. In fact, it blesses all behavioral, meaning mindless, expressions of our devotion. So the ego blesses all mindless expressions of our devotion. All right, I'm going to stop there. I read way beyond. Thank you so much for joining with me, and I will see you tomorrow. Have a beautiful day. I love you.